Hello, and welcome to Cinematic Disasters. Today we'll be talking about a very popular movie from the 90s. One that has a very huge following, and that has many crappy sequels. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we will be taking a look at 1999's The Matrix. As previously stated, released in 1999, The Matrix became a smash hit, becoming one of the highest-grossing films of the decade, and being a staple of action cinema today. No, I'm not going to keep up the whole stupid monotone way of talking like I did the intro, but I felt like I had to do some satire for this video. Like, I just couldn't help myself. So this is back in, of course, 1999 when this first came out, where technology and CGI were starting to evolve. This came out the same year as The Phantom Menace, which broke new ground with technology, creating all new landscapes and even entire creatures completely computer-generated. So, and Matrix, even today, is still a staple of the action genre. But I fucking hate it. I don't get why people like this movie so much. I think it's pretentious. I think it's boring. I think it's dumb. It's everything wrong with movies, really. There are some neat ideas and some okay fight scenes, but other than that, the movie sucks big time. So, let's jump right into 1999's The Matrix. So, we of course open off with Agent Smith, played by Hugo Weaving, and this guy said yes to the first two awful sequels to this one, but didn't return from Infinity War. Huh? Well, whatever. And he is currently tracing Trinity, played by Carrie-Anne Moss. And you get that stupid 360 shot that was probably cool at the time, but today looks incredibly out of place and extremely dumb. And so we get a really dumb chase for about 30 seconds until we cut to our main character, Thomas Anderson, played by the extremely boring Keanu Reeves. Now, this is back when Keanu Reeves could not act. People will say that Keanu Reeves is such a fantastic actor nowadays. He couldn't act till John Wick. I'm being serious. Every movie he was in, Bill and Ted, The Matrix movies, and Constantine, and all these other shitty movies he was in, his performance is all the same. It's just harsh whispering. I swear he went to the Twilight School of acting. And it seemed like he tried to replicate that in Matrix Resurrections with similar results, with a pretty bad performance. And this movie shows us that this guy who spent his life basically hiding indoors and messing with his computer is going to become the savior. I think I'm getting a pretty clear view of what the fan base looks like. And then, of course, Agent Smith is going after him because they believe him to be the one, to be Neo, the Messiah. And it's not subtle in the slightest. There's even a point where there's a guy who shows up to his door. He, asks for money or something. I don't remember why. I don't even think it's said. And he literally says out loud, "You're my savior, man. My own personal Jesus Christ." Way to be fucking subtle about it, Wachowskis. I literally watched this movie today for this review, so I am not making this up. And then later we go to his workplace, and you see Agent Smith going after him, and the only thing he has to do to avoid them is to run to the cubicle across from his. This advanced technology can't see through a fucking wall about this thick. Are you serious? And then, of course, but they do eventually find him and take him captive, literally seeing Trinity on a bike next to their car, but don't bother to do anything about it. And they inject him with some kind of tracker, which is removed about 5 minutes later, so that doesn't mean anything. And once Neo is not brought to the Matrix, but taken by Trinity, he is introduced to Morpheus, played by Lawrence Fishburne, one of the only people in this movie who was putting in a decent performance. And he gives him a choice. The blue pill, he can live his life in ignorance and believe whatever he wants. Take the red pill, and he can see the truth, the reality of everything. And Yeah, that's pretty accurate to how today's works, with the red being shooting for free will and blue trying to restrain everything. So, he of course takes the red pill and enters the Matrix, some kind of rebirth chamber, I guess. And they quite easily pluck him out of there, because there's no security there for some reason. This highly advanced technology has no security. And he begins being trained by Morpheus. He learns Kung Fu in the span of about a minute and a half. He also... I don't know what that was. Then they do the traditional... The scene where he jumps from the building to the other, and we get the classic... Whoa. Scene out of Keanu Reeves. And this right here shows that his performance is really bad. He didn't bother to show any emotion. He literally... Okay, let me take off the glasses for a second. This is literally his face and how he says the line when Morpheus jumps from a building all the way to one about 30 feet away. Whoa. Yeah, he's totally not high or anything, or at least he looks like he's high at least. And he jumps off as well, but his mind makes it real, and he falls, and thank God this place operates on Toontown logic, I guess, because he, like, bounces into it like a freaking trampoline, bounces back up. And he says his mind made it real. Which, he was literally bleeding in his mouth. How does that even work? But, whatever. The problem with this movie is that the first half of it is all boring-ass exposition and people talking, and with no expression on their face, and no emotions whatsoever. And the second half is all just mindless action. It's a really bad balance of things. The only good things in this movie are its effects, but even those are pretty dated by today's standards. And so the first half is not really worth going into that much. The second half, things kind of start to pick up. He meets the Oracle, once again, one of the only people in this movie who's actually trying, and tells him he's not the one. Only for that to be contradicted about 10 minutes later. And then, of course, they have a traitor in their mix, because of course they do. And it's... I can't remember the actor's name. It's Gabe Bugliano from Percy Jackson. Can't remember the actor's name for the life of me. But honestly, I don't care at this point. And then they have a bunch of big fight scenes, and you get the classic bullet dodging where he does the little dodge effect where one of the agents does, and Trinity points the gun right to his head and says, "Dodge this." Takes her a full 2 seconds to say that stupid line. He could have easily... Moving at the speed of sound, he could have easily just dodged around or anything, but nope, he's just going to stand there and let her shoot him. Had she done it, something like that, that would have been fine, but no, she stands there, dodge this. Plenty of time to dodge out of the way, but whatever. And then you get the classic slow motion dodging the bullets, the ripple effects behind them, which don't look the greatest anymore. They probably looked great for 1999, but they don't look very good anymore. And there's a bunch of other effects that don't make sense, like a helicopter crashes into a building and has the building do like a wave ripple kind of thing, where it does this while the helicopter explodes in the middle of it. You figure that one out. Yeah, there's just not much to this movie. I'm just realizing that right now. People are saying there's this deep dive into philosophy. What fucking philosophy? It is in-your-face Jesus symbolism for Neo, so there's nothing philosophical about that. It's in your face and not subtle in the slightest. The direction isn't very good. The actors are all terrible except for a couple. The story doesn't make a lick of sense, the special effects haven't aged well, and the action's just boring to watch. This is a really short video. It's not even 10 minutes long already, and I kind of feel like I'm wrapping up, but I shouldn't be wrapping up yet. And there is, of course, the biggest plot hole in this movie that many people have pointed out, but I feel obligated to repeat now. What is the point of The Matrix? And I don't mean the movie, because the fourth movie already tried and failed to say what the point of it was in that stupid-ass montage that I complained about in my Matrix Resurrections review. What is the point of the system? Because it seems like they can do all the stuff a lot easier without the program. The program seems to slow them down. And, God, I'm trying to think. There has to be something else to talk about. There has to be. Now, back to the freeing your mind and everything like that. People say this was the revolution of that, like, oh, this is such a new idea. It had been done many times. Like, maybe our reality isn't reality. Maybe we're the simulation and the Matrix is real. And the sequels do dick all to explain any of this. And the sequels, by the way, all three of them, even worse than this. I'll get to the other ones eventually. I did a review of Matrix Resurrections when that came out, so you can go and watch that. And I'll get to those first cinematic disasters eventually. But I'm not going to do all four of them right now. I could. I got the time. Because it's been 11 minutes, and this is probably going to be my shortest cinematic disaster to date. But, man, this movie sucks. Now, is it an awful movie? Well, that's kind of tough, because objectively speaking, no, it has some cool things to it, and there are people who are going to think it's a masterpiece, but why? Why do people think it's a masterpiece? Like I said, the acting is all atrocious, the story is convoluted with plot holes aplenty, and nothing is ever explained properly. It's pretentious as hell, I forgot about that. These movies are pretentious as hell. They think everything they're saying is new, everything they're saying is important, but it's really not. They're acting like every conversation is the most important thing you will ever hear in your life, and really, you could skip the conversation scene to not miss a thing. And that's about half the movie, so you might as well just skip the movie in general. If you haven't seen The Matrix, don't really bother. I know pretty much everybody has seen the movie, and I know there are a lot of people that love this movie, but I really don't get it. I really don't. I hate The Matrix movies. All four of them. I hate them all. This is the least worst easily, because at least it has some ideas that it's bringing to the table, even if they're not the most unique, or if they've been done before and done much better. But it still has its moments. But other than that, this is just a slog to sit through. So yes, shortest cinematic disasters I've ever done. So next time we're gonna have a lot longer review, because we'll be talking about a recent Broadway adaptation. So until then, it's your choice, the blue pill or the red pill. I recommend chucking them both out the window and avoiding these movies.